Today we have some exciting news to share with you and Roger from Saugus Cable Television and the wonderful team here. We did some ghost hunting on Friday at Saugus Town Hall. We were able to pick up some audio things that we'll share with you, and electronic voice phenomenon is a psychic phenomenon that a lot of people are interested in, and it does happen with voices in the background. It does happen on tape recorders, and you can try to find the energy in the area that you're trying to connect with, and luckily we were able to get some concrete examples of electronic voice phenomenon. We were able to go to the belfry upstairs, and it seemed to be teeming with a lot of energy. A lot of the other people with us seemed to pick up some things, as well as Roger and myself. We went downstairs to the clerk's office where there have been some psychic manifestations, and it was assumed that there could be somebody there named Charles Bond. He was a Saugonian of many years ago, very connected to this particular part of Massachusetts, and it has long been known that there's been cigar smoke smelled. There's a gate that opens up, and we actually went in to just see if there was some energy that we could tap into, and luckily with the results that the team was able to finish, we were able to hear some concrete voices and some sounds that are not attributable to the people that are on the earth plane. And oftentimes spirits do want to communicate with us, and they will try to do that in a multitude of ways, and they'll often do it electronically. And my belief is that your soul is almost an electrical current that continues on after the body is no longer the vessel for the soul. So I'm going to say that to connect electronically with a spirit is almost like they're coming back to show you that yes, that energy does continue on. Roger does have a television show, very well received, called Here, Then Is Now.
Then Is Now, yes.
And mine is Linnea and Friends. And what we decided to do, because of this time of the year, we combined our energies to see if we could give something concrete to the listening audience to entertain, educate, and enlighten.
Okay, so as Linnea explained, we went to the town hall, and what you're about to see is the footage of us investigating in the town hall. And there was just a handful of us. There was the custodian, Bob, that you'll see. He's got an interesting story for us. And then, of course, Linnea. I myself had the camera. I had a consumer camera that has night shot on it, as well as a recorder and an EMF detector, which detects electromagnetic frequencies. And the audio recorder is to pick up EVPs, which electronic voice phenomena, which we'll explain later. So it's very interesting. We're curious to see what you think of the footage. And let's segue over to that right now and us going into the town hall in Saugus.
And the nice thing, too, that we discussed briefly before we went on air, we did this during the daytime.
Oh, yes.
And daytime, you know, usually you think about something such as this with the nighttime, the darkness, etc., you know, the atmosphere, the ambiance. But we decided to do it during the daytime when there were no business things going on. The facility had closed. So for us to get something as tangible as we did is kind of telling people it doesn't have to be a dark and stormy night.
Right.
It can be the daytime with the sun shining, and you're still going to be able to make those connections. So I'm very pleased that we chose a daytime thing rather than something at night, simply because daytime, usually you would think that maybe this wouldn't come so succinctly, but I think that it did. So thank you again. It was great. Thank you, everyone. We're doing a little bit of a mysterious, magical mystery tour today, Roger and myself from Saugus Cable Television. And what we're doing is we're coming into Saugus Town Hall, and we're trying to connect with a very wonderful philanthropist who had a very strong connection to the Saugus community, Charles H. Bond. Roger has a show that's quite well received. It's been on for many, many times. Then Is Now. I have a wonderful show that's been very well received, Linnea and Friends. And today we're combining forces to find out about the spiritual aspect of some of the goings-ons that have happened here at the facility. Mr. Bond is often felt throughout the area, especially in the clerk's office. They've had a smelling of aromatic tobacco. He was a cigar magnate, he owned a company, the Bond Tobacco Company, I believe, and I guess people have felt doors open, gates open, and there's a very significant presence of Mr. Bond throughout this particular area. Roger will explain a little bit about the equipment that we're using to try to pinpoint this.
We've got here a couple of different things. We're, of course, amateur ghost hunters. I have my own personal EMF detector. What I did was I attached it to this pole, so that way I could hold that. And what this does, an EMF detector detects electromagnetic frequencies, which often has been told through ghost hunting is that they use that energy in the air to communicate with us. And one of the things is, like, I tested it out at the office, and when it goes near anything that's electrical, the microwave, computers, the thing goes haywire. I'll show you. That's when it starts up. So I think sometimes it even beeps. See, even this thing is giving off a little bit of EMF energy. I've also got a video camera, of course, that I'll be using. Even though we're being filmed, I'll be trying to catch something on camera with the night shot, which is night vision. And then I've got a couple of audio recorders, and what we use these for would be to detect EVPs, which are electronic voice phenomena, which would be something that would the recorder would pick up, but we wouldn't necessarily hear it while we're walking around here trying to communicate with Mr. Bond or whoever else may be here. So what we'll do is afterwards is I'm going to review my footage and the audio from both recorders, and we'll see if we pick up anything. We've also got from Saugus TV Clark Malason, who's going to be taking still photographs and see if we can catch anything like Linnea had said about orbs or whatnot.
I did want to explain a little bit about apparitions, ghosts, and spirits. My feeling is that when the earthly body is no longer your home, your energy, hence your energy detectors, your energy or your spirit goes to the Creator. And there are some instances where a spirit somehow has a very strong connection to something and they don't want to leave the earth plane. So I'm going to say that since Mr. Bond was so connected to Saugus, that I feel this venue is very comfortable for him, and I think he tries to make his presence known. So a ghost or an apparition isn't there to harm you. They're just trying to communicate from the other side, and if you're sensitive enough, and the machines are, we will hopefully be able to pick up something viable. Now, I did ask Mr. Bond to send me something, an A-port, and an A-port is from the other side, and they usually send a symbol of some kind. About a week ago, I was walking through a thrift store, and I came upon this tobacco tin, and it says Bond. So I'm going to say I think that was Mr. Bond's way of saying, yes, I want you to talk to me. Yes, I want to communicate. So I'm going to say that I think we got a nice A-port from Mr. Bond, and I think we have an interview with someone who has a first-hand experience with what happened with Mr. Bond. Would you like to share that?
My name is Bob Wright. I'm the custodian over the town hall in Saugus. And the prior custodian told me a story one day how he had left the building late at night. He happened to go across the street. He looked up at the building and he noticed the light up on the bell tower being on. And he got out of his car, he came back, he climbed the stairs, went up in the bell tower and put the light out, went down the stairs, back to his car, looked up and the light was back on again. He believes that there was somebody upstairs, but he didn't come back.
With many photographs, sometimes you will see orbs, and the orbs are kind of opaque flashes of light, and they're not explainable. So we're hoping today that some of the footage we do capture might be able to capture an orb from the other side, letting us know that Mr. Bond is still trying to communicate with us. So thank you for joining us. Our first sojourn into the Magical Mystery Tour is going to be up in the bell tower, which is at the very top of the building, and we're going to try to see if there's any energy there or any symbolism of Mr. Bond, and hopefully our equipment will try to capture that. So please join us.
Yeah, we're heading up to the
Bell tower. Here we go. Have you ever been up here?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'll follow you.
I just want you to know that this is wicked, wicked steep, these stairs.
Okay.
We're up at the top of the bell tower, which must have a lot of historical significance. It kind of looks like the original building didn't do much up here since it began, but it's very historic. And it's very cold up here, did you notice?
Yes.
Coldness sometimes indicates a spirit presence, so I'll follow you.
Okay. Whereabouts was the light? Okay.
Those were the lights that were on, I think, when the other gentleman was outside, and he had already shut them off. And he was pretty surprised that they still continued to shine. And I'm just going to say that some historical places hold on to the vibration from the very beginning of the onset of the building, the people in it. And I am going to say I think there's more than one person here. I think Mr. Bond might have a bunch of company. They're just kind of telling me there could be more than one. And I am hearing the name William, so I don't know who William is. They're just telling me to say the name William. Are you picking anything up on the footage? Can you see anything?
I'm getting the room. I don't know if I'm
okay, so you'll probably see that later on. This here.
Anyone here that would like to communicate with us? I've got this device here that you can make it beep.
This wood is ancient. Look at it. Oh my gosh, look at this.
Is there anybody up here? You can talk to us.
Yeah, you can show up on the film. You can do, you know, clear audience. Maybe you can speak to us. Sometimes you won't hear the taping until later on. I think I'm going to stay here.
Okay. Got the whole gang here. Is there anyone around that would like to communicate with us? Don't be shy.
Actually, is there any way that you could get a footage of that part? For some reason, I just pick up an aura or a vibration right there. For some reason. Now and again, you know, it can be Mr. Bond, since he was the strongest one to make his appearance known. But there are many times when other spirits that either have a connection to the building or they had some connection to Saugus and maybe they've made their home here. Some of them don't want to leave. They're called hangers-on. They kind of just come in, they walk in, they like the vibration, and they stay. Usually they're welcomed, and sometimes people are not comfortable having an apparition or a ghost in their home or in their place of work. And what you can do is you can ask them to leave. You can say, you know what, we're not happy about this, we're a little nervous. And sometimes you can do a blessing. You can use holy water, you can have a minister, a priest, or rabbi come in and bless the area. You can also get sea salt from any New Age store, and you spread sea salt around, which is a neutralizer. And sometimes you can smudge an area with sage. You get a little bit of sage, which is an herb, and that smudges the area and cleanses it of anything that's negative. But I'm going to say that I pick up a lot of positive energy around here, and I think that whoever is connected to the building wants that energy to remain positive, so I'm picking up very, very good energy around whatever is communicating downstairs, one of them of which is Mr. Bond.
Interesting. I don't know if it's the camera or what, but see next to the C, there's like a little dot moving up and down. I don't know if that's just on the screen.
Yeah, is that over where I thought, in that
right
area?
In this area here.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's where I felt there was some kind of energy that was trying to make a connection to us.
I don't know if that's just the screen, or it's kind of moving around though.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
It was next to the C before. Let's see if I turn away.
Okay.
It's still there. I haven't seen that before on this camera.
And sometimes a spirit or an apparition will appear as they were in the prime of their life. They will come back at their highest point. Usually I'd say in their healthiest years, their happiest years. And sometimes they look very, very real. They look as real as you and I. And sometimes they're a little nebulous, you can see through them. But I'm going to say the stronger the energy, the stronger looking the apparition will be. And there are, you know, haunted places, museums, castles, churches, and old buildings in communities such as this. So I'm going to say it's not uncommon to find someone that has had the experience of seeing an apparition or coming into contact with a ghost. Yeah, I keep picking up stuff right in through here.
Is there someone over here that would like to communicate with us?
See, it almost looks like, I don't know if you can see this as well, it looks like smoke. Do you see it? There's like a smoky apparition on the top. It looks like a head and shoulders. It looks like an apparition. I think it looks like a man. And it's very nebulous, but it's kind of swirling around. Do you see that as well?
Kind of.
It's like smoke, but not cigar smoke, but
right.
It just looks like white, nebulous kind of stuff, and it's kind of moving around. That also is an energy.
I'm getting dust particles that look like they're flowing up, as if the air was moving that way.
All right, sometimes energy, especially at night, if you see little twinkly things, like in the middle of the night if you wake up and it's all sparkles, sometimes that's the soul's energy coming back to kind of tell you they're with you. But this almost looks like a man, the top part, the head, and then I see shoulders. It looks like he has a pocket watch in his hand, you know, like one of those old, on a chain that he would keep in his vest. So I'm going to say maybe, you know, it is Mr. Bond trying to show himself to us. Right here.
Interesting.
Is the camera still with that dot, do you know?
It's still there.
Okay.
It could be a electronic function, but it is weird. I've never seen that before.
And I think their intention is not to scare anyone. They don't want you to be frightened. I think they're just making the connection from the other side. They're just letting you know that, you know, they're here, they watch over us. And I think part of the message is the soul is eternal. Because if you do believe in the afterlife, then your soul does go to the Creator.
And sometimes, too, you can have residual energies, which is sort of like a recording that plays back over and over again. If you have the same thing that happens in a haunting over and over again, it's more, I think, anyways, energy that's left behind that plays back again, rather than an actual entity that could be there. I'm not saying that's the case here, but...
It could be. Someone sometimes comes back and they have the same message to replay. Sometimes an accident or a fire, the people involved in the accident or the fire, they don't realize that they're on the other side, and they keep replaying this scenario. So I'm going to say sometimes that in a catastrophe, sometimes that will be evidentiary as well. But it just seems to be very like a white smoke.
Right here. Like the focus kind of moved in and out a little bit.
Okay. But it's strange that we picked up energy over there and then your camera is giving you some kind of movement.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak to us? I have a device here that we can try and record your voice, or you can make this EMF detector beep to let us know that someone's here. I'm going to move it a little closer.
I am hearing the name Harry. I don't know, you know, who that is. But they're actually singing me that song, I'm Just Wild About Harry. So I'm going to say maybe there is, you know, some connection to something who has the name Harry around them. So they're telling me to say Harry. Now do you see it down there? This kind of a nebulous, kind of smoky kind of thing closer to the floor. Almost looks like waves.
There's something playing with the focus here. I don't know if it's just because it's low light.
Because especially before it was higher up, and now it seems that it came down to your level where you're closest to it, and it almost looks like it's just undulating. The smoke is right there, it's kind of undulating.
Yeah, it's making the back thing go in and out of focus.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So there is energy that we picked up in this corner. Isn't that wild? Really, isn't it though?
Anything else that you getting or feeling or?
I'm going to say the strongest that I felt, and that's just me, the strongest connection that I felt was somehow in this corner. I don't know why. Maybe there's a significance, you know, the sizing, the shaping of it. Just going to say right over there. But, you know, they might be communicating on the tape. You haven't heard it because we haven't played it back. And there might be imagery on your cameras that hasn't shown up yet. So say something. If you want to speak, we want to hear you. No, all's quiet on the Western Front. But that doesn't mean to say that they haven't communicated, you know, in another venue, and we'll find that out. But I keep hearing the name Harry, so I'm wondering if there was a connection to someone.
Maybe a custodian back when Bond was here?
Could have been. Could have been. So great.
Okay, let's move
great. We just did a little exploration upstairs where the bell tower is, and it looks like it's been untouched for many, many years. We were able to pick up energy that we could feel. The room got very cold, and one of the cameras was actually focusing on an area that people could feel there was some kind of vibration. What we're hoping is that if there is an entity or entities there, that they will try to communicate on the tape that we have used and also on the cameras that we're using, either as orbs or just to manifest themselves to say, we are here watching over you with light and love. So if Mr. Bond is here or anyone connected to that venue, you know, this is the time and the opportunity to come forward, and especially this month, the magical month of October.
Linnea was definitely picking something up there, and I think the camera was too, so we'll have to find out, and especially when we review the footage and the audio.
Now I think we're going to segue downstairs to the clerk's office, which has been an area where many people who work here, people who are familiar with Mr. Bond, have felt a phenomenon occurring. Doors opening, the gate opening, and particularly the smell and the aroma of tobacco smoke. So we're going to go downstairs and see if we can pick something up there. Our final segue has brought us to the town clerk's office, where many of the staff have been kind enough to give us testimonials where they have felt something here in this particular room. One of the very lovely co-workers here was kind enough to say that oftentimes they can smell tobacco, sometimes pipe smoke, and especially when there's a lot of activity in this office, maybe elections or things of great magnitude, that is more enhanced. As Roger mentioned earlier, that's a repetition of a ghost trying to make a connection to people that are open to it. And one of the other phenomenon that has been noticed over the years is that the gate over here will sometimes open on its own accord. So other people have shut it, they've been alone in the office, and they look and they see the gate opening on its own. So that's another phenomenon of a spirit trying to make a strong connection. Since Mr. Bond's portrait used to hang out in the hallway, and since he was, you know, an aficionado of tobacco and his company was a cigar company, I'm going to say that the primary connection I'm picking up would be from him. So I think that there was a great love of Saugus. I think he had a strong community connection, and I think perhaps his message to everyone is, I'm trying to come back and just communicate that I still have a strong connection, especially to this building, which I believe, I was just told it was built in the 1700s. Actually, I'm just going to sneak by you. For some reason over here, I don't know why, but that same kind of aura, vibration. It's like gyrating. I don't know if you...
It did just suddenly go out of focus.
Right there, just right in the middle. For some reason, it's like a ball of smoke again. So I'm going to say it goes in, it goes out, it goes in, it goes out. So I'm just going to say like a little cloud. They're telling me right there. And you know, sometimes an apparition will float around. They're not earthbound. I mean, they're spiritual, so they have no weight. So is your camera focusing on that? Are they picking anything up?
It is, hard to tell. Like, I'll have to look at it on a bigger monitor.
Of course,
But, it's definitely catching the focus. I don't know, again, if it's just this cabinet in the front.
Okay.
See, now it's clear, but now it just randomly goes in and out of focus.
Okay.
It could be an effect of low light, but...
See, it looks like, to me, this is strange, since smoke has been, you know, the smelling of cigar smoke and tobacco smoke. So I keep seeing smoke, and so I'm going to say right there on the very top of the shelf, it looks like just a small thing of smoke. It's like opaque, right on the very top. Looks like smoke signals from Indians. You know when they used to do...
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, you know, like they do the smoke, they have the carpet over the fire, and then the smoke signals would go up.
Right.
So that's what it's looking like to me. Isn't that wild?
It is wild, and it's funny how... Actually, Clark, make sure you're getting shots of that. Back up.
Just seems to be just very opaque. It's like it's very transparent, like a veil that you can just see it emanating from.
It's funny, it won't go back. Not really going to do much. It's way out of focus now.
Okay. Does it go out of focus ordinarily?
I think in low light, it tries to catch something to focus on.
Okay.
So, but it would stay. It wouldn't just jump if I'm not moving.
And now I have a woman. There's a woman talking to me. So was there a woman that worked here for many, many years? Was she very much loved? There's a woman. There's an older woman that's telling me this was her career. So I'm just going to say, do you know of any older lady that worked here for many years? Maybe 30, 40 years out of her life. Do you know that?
A lot of women that spent a lot
All
of
right.
time in this building.
All right, well, I'm going to say that whoever this is, this was, I think, her lifeline. I don't know. I don't think she married. I don't think she married. I think this was, I don't think she was ever late. I don't think she was ever out sick. Oh, my God. I don't think she wanted to retire either. I think she felt very, a purpose in her life. And she's telling me she was very good with accounting and bookkeeping. So where is the accounting and bookkeeping office?
Across the hall.
All right, she's telling me she was very good with accounting and bookkeeping, whoever this lady is, and she's very prim and proper about her hair. She's showing me very, very, it's pulled back, and it almost looks like it has one of those hair nets on it that they wore years ago. It's very, very, she's kind of pulling on mine, saying I couldn't wear my hair like that. She said I had to pull it back. And it's in a little capulet, like. She's telling me about her mother. So I'm going to say I think whoever this was lived with her mother. I think she lived locally. She said she walked here. She said I used to walk to work every day, and it was easier for her because she lived so close. So she said I was always the first one here. She's very proud of that. Of course, she should be. And for some reason, she says Robinson. Is there someone with the name Robinson or a street named Robinson, do you know?
Robinson?
Do you hear the name? Do you have anything with the name Robinson around here?
I think one of the former town clerks was a Robin.
Because I'm originally from another community. I'm not connected. I love Saugus. Saugus has been so good to me. So I'm very connected now, but years ago I was not. So she says the name Robinson means something. Perhaps she worked with that person, do you think?
Could be.
She's telling me that. And she says Millie. Is there someone named Millie?
Millie, yes.
Who's Millie?
Millie was a former town employee who recently passed away within the last few years.
Millie. Millie's talking to me. Did she work here a long time?
She worked here quite a bit, yeah, quite a while.
She says they talk about me. They miss me. Millie. This is Millie.
Oh, I have goosebumps.
She's right here. Oh my God, she's hugging me. Was she married?
She was.
All right, well, I'm going to say this lady is a married lady. The other lady is not. But Millie said she knew the other woman. There was some connection there. Does Millie have children?
Yes.
How old are they?
Grown, adult children.
They're adults. All right, she's sending love to them. She says, give them my love, give them my love. And she says Elizabeth. Who is Elizabeth? Betty, Beth. Is there someone with that name around her? All right, well, this is Millie talking about Elizabeth, Betty, Beth. And she's showing me an award. Did she get an award for her work? Did they give her some kind of, it's on paper. It's like she says, they awarded me something. It's so special. Was it a citation?
I believe we did give her a citation or something.
Right, because it's framed. And she says, I was so happy about that. I was so happy about that. She was very, very bright. She was very, very good in her work. She's telling me if she did the work, no one had to check it. She said my work was perfect. So I'm going to say she's very proud of that, and she should be. And they also say Helen. Who is Helen? Is there a Helen somehow connected here from years ago? Do you know? All right, well, she's mentioning Helen, so I don't know if it's connected to Millie. When did Millie pass away?
I think it's 2 years ago.
All right, I'm sorry for that. And she's showing me the chest area. Heart and lungs. Was there a problem with her heart and lungs? Do you know?
Honestly, don't know.
All right, well, she's talking about you, so I think you two had a nice connection. She says she felt valued. She said my work was valued, and that was important to her.
She's a wonderful, generous person.
Yes, a lady. I would call her a lady. So thank you. So Millie was an employee. The other lady, I think, is from years ago, and she's showing me a navy blue outfit. She said there's a historical picture somewhere. It looks like a lot of them in the front, and she said, I'm the one in the navy blue outfit. It looks like it has maybe a lace collar on the top. So she says this goes back in the time machine. And they say Michael. Who is Michael? Is there a Michael connected here somehow?
There's a Michael that works in Town Hall.
All right, well, I'm going to say this is from long ago. Michael. The man named Harry is talking about Michael, so I don't know if that was a connection, you know, at that point in time. And they keep giving me 1930, so I'm going to say that maybe the lady that was the first lady that I picked up, she says 1930, so I think she had a connection here in 1930. So thank you. Thank you for verifying that. We were able to substantiate through some wonderful testimonials from a wonderful coworker here that the name Robinson that came through a little bit earlier was indeed a gentleman that did have a connection here many, many, many years ago. So I think we'll do a little bit of research to see if the first lady that I was able to pick up, the lady from a long time ago, might have had a mentor, and that might have been Mr. Robinson. I believe he worked here, I was told, for several years. So we'll let you know as soon as we find out, and thank you. We actually began our quest in some of the conference rooms, and we segued up to the belfry where there seemed to be a lot of energies that we seem to pick up specifically in different places. It did get colder. I noticed that it got colder while we were there, and the cameras that were being utilized were able to pick up, I believe there was an orb that you did visualize at one point, and I think that there were sounds that we were hearing that were not common to being that high up in the building. We did make our way downstairs to the clerk's office where there seemed to be a lot of vibrationary forces, and some of the staff members at the facility were kind enough to verify some of the things that they've experienced over the last several years. We were also able to pick up some personalities that we did connect with, and they were able to give us evidentiary information, and we're hoping to share that with everyone. We're trying to get the proper procedures for permission, because some of the people were workers at the Saugus Town Hall, and they did come back to give names and some events that happened to them at the end of their careers. So it was very interesting, because this kind of electronic phenomenon does give a lot more credibility to the spirit world. You're able to capture something on a picture, an orb, you're able to get a voice or a sound, and then you're able to say to people, this was done, you know, in a completely procedural program with no added effects, Nothing was staged. It's completely honest and completely as is. We walked in, we felt what we felt, and what was nice is your team seems to be very cohesive to this kind of thing because you all seem to have that vibration of openness and honesty, and that's very important in this kind of work. You're very ethical in what you do. So it's not that we're fooling anyone or trying to make something up. It's actually a phenomenon that has happened, and it's substantiated with your electronic cameras and also your audios. And now I think you have some things to share that happened after we went into the building and you did get your procedural work completed. So maybe you could segue into that.
Right. Before we show you what we think we found or what we feel we found, I wanted to show you this camera was the one that I use. This belongs to Rich, who's the operations manager of the station here. I used this camera during the video that you just saw, and it's a consumer camera, which is something that the average person would buy and use. And what was interesting was I picked up, there was a little blip on the screen that we saw that doesn't normally appear in these kind of cameras. And then it did show up in the video, which we'll point that out.
Right.
And then what's really interesting is when I got back to the studio and I imported the footage from the tape, these take the small digital tapes, only 15 minutes of footage was on the tape. And I know I shot about almost an hour's worth of footage. I did find that inside the camera there was what's called an SD card. And the rest of the footage was on that at a lesser quality, which you saw in the video. So I thought that was interesting that it somehow bumped over to it. And this is the actual camera that I used, and now it actually doesn't work. Since that shoot, we had trouble getting the tape to go back in, getting the mechanism to close, and so we're working on trying to fix that. I don't know if that's an effect of what we saw, but it was very interesting. And I had, as you saw in the video, a recorder, an audio recorder with me. I actually had two. The second one didn't come out so good, but the first one I had in my hand along with the EMF detector. With the EMF detector, if we wanted to show you this real briefly, this clip here, I didn't pick up anything except they had an old-fashioned typewriter, a 70s, it was like an IBM typewriter or something.
Electric? Or
something like that, yeah. And it was picking up the cable in the back, and we were able to substantiate that it was in fact a typewriter because they had an identical one on the other side of the room that it also gave off the same energy. So obviously the cable that was coming out of it wasn't shielded. So unfortunately on the EMF side of things, electromagnetic frequency, we didn't really pick anything up. But what we did pick up was some audio. If you'd like to listen, we'll show you a couple of the first few that we found. We found quite a bit. We were able to rule a lot of it out where it was a camera, Clark taking photos in the background. It was the ch of the camera. Some of it was one of us taking a breath. But there were a couple that we know wasn't us. The first one is, the first couple I think are someone taking a breath, and it wasn't any of us because the recorder was actually on a table in the downstairs part of the town hall, far away. So let's listen to those first. Okay, so the first one I want to show you is this clip right here. Take a listen.
Kind of looks like.
Did you hear that?
Kind of looks like.
Now, it's highly possible that that was Clark's camera in the background.
It kind of looks like the original building.
Okay, and then we had a couple more over here.
A spirit indicates
this right in here.
Indicates a
so we're not sure what that is. Again, it could be Clark's camera.
A spirit present. Indicates a spirit present.
But then right there you hear the camera click, so.
Indicates a spirit present.
So that sounds like a breath right there. Is there anybody? We're not sure what this one is.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
Is there anybody up here? You can talk to us. Right here. That's something. We don't know what that is. Okay, there's one right here. Still there. That. I haven't seen that. Let's try it again. Before. Let's see if I turn away.
Okay.
Still there. I haven't seen... Hear that weird huffing echo behind me? Still there. I haven't seen that... And you can obviously hear the camera clicking, but what is that breathing? Still there. Again, something interesting. The next one that you're going to hear... Oh, first we'll play it, and then we'll see what the audience at home thinks. Okay, we're going to play this for you now, and we want you to determine what you're hearing in the background.
Aura vibration, it's like gyrating. I don't know if you...
What did you suddenly go out of focus? I'll play that again.
Aura vibration, it's like gyrating. I don't know if you...
Right here, do you hear this in here?
Vibration, it's like gyrating. I don't know if you...
What did you say? Okay, the next one, what we thought was the sound of children singing or playing.
Like a rhyming, a sing-song, like la 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 la. It's
Right.
very faint, but you can hear high-pitched children's voices in the background. Now, I know that day was
It was a school day.
a school day, but
Right.
there were no children in the area, and
Right.
the building closed at 12:30, so it was just us in that room.
Yes, there was nobody playing music or anything. And what I thought was interesting too, actually, I was kind of thinking about it after you and I looked at the footage. My impression when we went up to the bell tower was I, for some reason, was expecting to see, if I was going to see anything, or even in the footage, a short person. So I don't know if that ties in. Maybe there's a spirit of a child that
You
used to
were
live there.
honing in on that area that I thought looked like waves.
Right.
We both kind of said, look, and then your camera went over there and it made some noises. So I'm going to say that if you were perceiving someone of a smaller stature, that could indicate a child. It could indicate
Right.
a young child, and it might have been either siblings that lived in that home, we're not sure if that was a home years ago, or children that might have had a connection
Right.
and they haven't left. And when we went downstairs, I think the focal point that I picked up on was older employees that had worked there and maybe Mr. Bond. It's amazing that you were able to pick up the smaller stature, and then we hear voices of children.
Right.
So that's really incredible. Good for you.
It was incredible. Thank you. And the final one that we're going to play for you, well, here, let's play the clip first.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the clip here. Take a listen, and I'll play it several times for you.
And the question was, if he heard us, if he can turn the light on. And the question was, if he heard us, if he can turn...
Right at the end of when Linnea says was.
As if he heard us, as if he heard us. He heard us, he heard us, he heard us.
If you listen all the way through...
And the question was, if he heard us, if he can... The question was, if he heard us, if he heard us, if he can turn the...
Okay, I've played it several times there. I think it sounds like something backwards. So what I did was I reversed it, and this is what we got. I don't know what the folks at home are thinking, but I think it sounds like a woman saying the name Lewis.
And she has a lower pitched, I myself kind of have a higher pitched voice. The children's voices were in unison, so you could hear the higher pitching of their voices. This particular voice, it sounds like it's a lower alto kind of voice, and she's saying, Lewis, Lewis, which is really amazing. That's incredible.
It was really amazing. There were a couple of visuals that I thought were maybe orbs, so we'll play those for you now. We'll show you the clip. Okay, now this is the clip that I thought it was an orb. Let's see if I can get it to play. I have to go backwards. If you watch carefully in the corner of the screen here, it appears there. But when I slow it down, see, right there. But this is Jason's camera here, so this could be a reflection off of the camera somehow. That's the only time I really see it. Going backwards and then forwards. So I don't know. And as you can see in the video, we don't know if it was dust particles. I mean, when I had this camera, I was seeing dust particles coming up from where we thought that there was some kind of a presence or energy. So I don't know if that was just simply the air, the way it flows in there, or if it was coming from that. So again, it's nothing 100% concrete, but definitely something that we can't explain away, which leads us to believe that there's definitely something there.
And what I think is really valid about all of this is it's a group of people. It's not just one person. You know, it's a team that each person has a specific ability and an energy. And you're going in together to see what's there. So it was almost like a query, like what's here? We ask questions. Who's out there? Does someone want to communicate? And it wasn't anything that was staged. We were all by ourselves. We've never done this before there. So I'm going to say, to get such a positive connection with the orbs that you were able to get, with the audios that we were able to get, I think does tell us, and for some of the past things I was able to pick up, that tells us the building has a history, and some of the people connected to the building don't want to leave. And that often happens. Sometimes a spirit will have a connection to a home, to a restaurant, to a place where they worked, and they're comfortable there, and that vibration is so complementary to them, they don't want to leave, and they will try to communicate and let you know that yes, indeed, we are here. So I think this gives, you know, not just entertainment, but it gives an explanation, and it gives an educational aspect of it, and it also has people thinking with an open mind, yeah, how could that happen? What made that happen? What made the voice come on? What made the energies manifest themselves? So you have to have a healthy dose of skepticism, and I agree, but when you see the factual part of this, the mind has to say there's got to be a reason for these things manifesting themselves. So I hope that the audience will take everything into consideration and come to their own conclusions. And I think that we've given them some food for thought. I think we really have. Right.
And one thing I wanted to chime in about too is that obviously spirits don't have vocal cords. They don't breathe in air to pass over vocal cords. So they have to use, if they want to communicate with us, they would have to use some kind of energy to communicate, which is why I think it's often very difficult to get these sorts of things on tape. And the fact that we did get something that sounds like a word,
it's tangible.
Is tangible, exactly.
It's tangible. So. And you know, I would encourage people in the listening audience, if you do have a voice-activated tape recorder, leave it on. You know, put it somewhere, leave it there for overnight, and in the morning, when you get up, take a look. If the red light is blinking and you hear something on there that wasn't from you or your family, then you're getting a spiritual message from the other side to say, yes, we watch over you with light and love.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Thank you for having me help you. I enjoyed it. It was great. This is a very special time of the year, and I wanted to go over some customs and traditions concerning several special events that are coming up within the October month. And one of them is All Hallows Eve, which is Halloween. The other one is All Saints Day, which is November 1st. And the other one is also All Souls Day, November 2nd, also known as the Day of the Dead in Mexico. The reason these holidays all intertwine, it has a connection to the supernatural as well as the earth plane. And this time of the year is also a harvest time. So it originally started out as a pagan celebration of the goddess Panoma. And it had to do with fruits, seeds, the earth giving back to us in the harvest time, and people were very thankful for that. As it evolved over many, many centuries, probably around the 12th to the 16th century, it became more Christian involved. And All Hallows Eve seems to be a connection where the spiritual world can join the earth plane because of All Saints Day and All Souls Day. All Hallows Eve, hallows means sacred. So what that means is the portal of the other side of heaven opens up, and you're able to communicate with the people that have gone on to the spiritual world. Since All Saints' Day is the next day, that's a celebration of all the canonized saints and the uncanonized saints in the Christian realm. And All Souls' Day is a celebration of remembrance of those that we have loved and have gone on to the other side. Many traditions have evolved over the years where they use bonfires, trick-or-treating, and originally, instead of a pumpkin to be used for trick-or-treat, they used turnips. Turnips was supposed to be a symbol of fruitfulness, and it evolved down to the pumpkin that we use for today. Dressing up for children is just a way to celebrate this particular time of the year, the fall solstice, and it's just a way to recognize that the heavens and the earth plane seem to conjoin during this particular time of the year where the supernatural supposedly can meet the earth plane on a more consistent basis. It is worldwide. It goes all over the world, particularly emanating in the beginning, I think, in England, Ireland, and Scotland as a Christian tradition, as opposed to the Romans, pagans that did it before the advent of Christ. So I would just say, especially at this time of the year, people are just celebrating, you know, the harvest and the fruitfulness of our earth. So it's also an earthbound celebration. And the Wiccan religion and the pagan religion often have special ceremonies to denote Mother Earth, to thank Mother Earth for the gifts and the bounties that she's bestowed upon us. If you look at all the customs and traditions, it's pagan, it's Christian, it's Wiccan, so it has a combination of cultural and traditional embellishments, which brings everybody together on a cohesive basis. The other thing is, in 1952, UNICEF became involved, and I think you're all familiar with the little orange box that you go around and collect pennies for the underprivileged children of the world. And part of this tradition of Halloween was also called souling, S-O-U-L-I-N-G. And people would go to trick-or-treat and to get treats and sometimes sixpence or money. It was for poor people who didn't have very much. So it also has kind of a charitable background to begin with. So I would just encourage people to have an open heart and an open mind at this time of the year, and to understand that it's a combination of traditions, costumes, bonfires, trick-or-treat, especially for children, the masquerade part of it. And supposedly at midnight on All Hallows Eve, that is the most fortuitous time for someone to connect from the spirit world to loved ones or to friends on the earth plane. I would encourage people to think about the people that have gone to the other side. If you're hoping to get a message from one of them, ask them for that. Ask for an apport or something familiar that would mean something to you from them. And in Mexico, on November 2nd, the Day of the Dead, they go to the cemeteries and they have picnics. And they sit at the tombs and they bring food, they bring flowers, they bring offerings to the people on the other side. Supposedly, that particular day is the day that their loved ones can come back and rejoice in their ancestry. So I would encourage people to enjoy this particular part of the year. It's very spiritual. It's very much a tradition in several different countries. And if you do try to connect with your loved ones on the other side, there are ways that they can communicate with you. My other shows have showed you apports, dreams, and sometimes when you hear, sometimes you're able to hear someone if you really focus on that, as we did with the electronic voice phenomenon. The other aspect of this that I did wish to mention to you is the astrological aspect. And at this time of the year, the planetary influences and the stars all align in a more powerful configuration for the heavens to communicate with the earth plane. And as an aside, this particular year is the year of the dragon. And it is an oriental symbol of good fortune, financial, and relationship success. Every year, there is a different animal that is honored in the Chinese astrological connection. This year, as I've mentioned, it's the year of the dragon. And even though we don't follow the Chinese horoscope, supposedly because it is the dragon, it will be a fortuitous year for everybody on the earth plane. If you're familiar with Chinese customs, they also bring the dragon out during New Year's, and the dragon is supposedly to chase away bad luck and to ensure good luck. So again, this particular year, especially in the fall, is the configuration of the dragon. So again, anybody connected to the earth plane is supposed to have good fortune during this particular time of the year. I would encourage people to read up on different traditions and to find out some of the customs maybe from your particular country. But I'm going to say that Halloween seems to be a worldwide event, and it is welcomed, you know, almost in every culture. It's a happy time, and it is the opportunity for you, if you are trying to connect with a loved one, you can ask them to come to you in a dream, you can ask them to send you an apport, or you can ask them to send you some kind of physical sign to let them know that they watch over you on the earth plane. So again, I would encourage everyone to enjoy Samhain. It's the Celtic word for the Halloween season, and to participate in some of the traditions, because it continues with customs throughout the world. It has a religious background, it has a cultural background, it has a traditional kind of time of the year for children especially. It's a time of enjoyment for them. And we've also posted online some of the audios that we have connected with through the Saugus Town Hall. We would like you to take your time and to listen to these on your own and to come to your own conclusions. We'd love to hear from you, to see if you hear something or if you are giving us any of your feedback, because again, we're here to entertain, educate, and enlighten. And I would think that the substantial evidentiary that we were able to procure at the Town Hall might give more validity to the fact that there are ghosts and apparitions that do wander the earth. And again, Halloween is the pivotal time for those particular souls to try to come back and communicate with us. And if you're familiar with Einstein's theory of relativity, he had always indicated that energy never dissipates. Whatever constitutes our energy, whether we're a person, a table, a book, you're able to have that energy just completely remain after the physical aspects of the constitution are gone. So I'm going to say even Einstein's theory of relativity substantiates that all energy never dissipates. It just continues on in another form. And I would also indicate that sometimes at night when you are in your home and the lights are out, try to see if you see the little sparkles. I have often noticed in the darkness of the night little sparkles that look like sequins floating around. That is supposedly the energy of a soul trying to connect with you. So if you do have that experience and you do see it for yourself, it's someone trying to manifest their connection to you. So once again, I would like to thank Saugus Cable TV for giving us the airtime to educate, enlighten, and entertain. And we look forward to providing you with many, many other topics of interest to give you the ability to come to your own conclusion that the soul is eternal and that they watch over us with light and love. And thank you.